But you're used to it now, I suppose.
This is
Not really. I never really get used to it for some reason.
This is a double.
I don't know why.
Yeah. You know, after like 10 years,
Anytime.
you know, there's no question never asked. It's, you know, everything will come up, you know, that's normal. But this is also something where I thought, you know, to prepare, you know, we saw the movie yesterday. You're going on tour, you're coming to Europe also. To prepare for all that, is that also a physical thing, or is it more a mental thing to go on a press tour like that?
Yeah, I think it's a mental thing. I mean, I think there are certain things, everyone, you know, as you were saying earlier, it's like, you think, I mean, some actors can do it as well, where they can just repeat the same answers and just kind of get through it completely mechanically. For one thing, I can't remember what I said 5 seconds after I said it, and the other thing, I think I just pass out. If I was trying to say the same thing, I would fall asleep in this chair. So I think it makes it easier just if you're constantly thinking, and also you can make it into something about. It's quite interesting to find out what you only really find out what the film's about when you're talking about it like this, like because you do it at the time. You're only thinking about your own character, and when you start, you know, trying to analyze it, because people are asking you all the time, and so it becomes quite interesting after a while.
And do you also get a new approach then to your character? Because like in talking about the movie and talking about Edward, do you see some things different then?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like, I think, yeah, everything changes. It's like doing rehearsals. It's like, you know, the early stages of rehearsals, and even though you're doing it afterwards, that's the interesting thing about doing a series as well. Even I was going to say you can bring it to the third one, but I've already done the third one. Bring in the fourth one. No, but I think it does help, and also it makes you kind of, in a strange sort of way, appreciate what you did in the movie more, in a funny sort of way, because you kind of realize like, oh yeah, that's what I was trying to do. That makes sense. So yeah.
And I also had yesterday the feeling, maybe I'm wrong, but I had the feeling that, especially the main characters, you know, that you have, how can I say that, more embraced the character than in the first one, of course, because you could develop it over, you know, the second, and like you said, the third is wrapped already.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very different situation. The first one, I think, you know, everyone was scared about people who were making it, and no one really knew what they were handling. And then when the success of it came, the studio, everybody trusts you a lot more, and so you have the foundation to kind of experiment with other things. Yeah, so that kind of it was a lot more relaxed.
And you're shooting in a cool location. I like Vancouver a lot. And then you also traveled to Tuscany. How was that experience?
Yeah, Vancouver's really nice. I mean, we inevitably end up shooting just in kind of forests and stuff. So it's like, and forests look pretty much the same all the way up that coast. But Tuscany was just like shooting a completely different movie. I mean, it really felt like all this hype and everything, and the scene felt so big that it's like, okay, this is what the hype's about. This is the epic scene, which this feels like you're doing a massive movie now. So it was an interesting experience. Because
Dakota just told me that she was there for 4 days, and she said like there were 5,000 people standing and screaming.
Yeah.
How does one react to that? Like.
Well, I mean, it kind of happens every single time you do anything to do with Twilight, so you kind of, you get used to it after a while. But I mean, when the scene's intensity matches up to the fan intensity, I mean, it's difficult to act when you're trying to do a kind of little scene where you're supposed to be just casual, and there's 2,000 people screaming. It's quite difficult to think it's normal. But when you are doing the kind of defining moment in the movie, and there's 5,000 people all waiting to see exactly what happens, like it helps for the anticipation to be there.
And also to focus, maybe it helps, no?
Yeah, no, I was saying to a couple of other people, I think stepping out into the sunlight in the scene in Italy was the closest I've ever felt to like being the character since I've done the whole series.
And were you glad that you didn't have, I just thought of this scene, it was a very nice scene. And also when Kristen runs, or Bella in that sense, runs through all these red dressed guys, that it looks so fantastic. You know, it's a picture, to really imagine it, it sticks in your head. But were you glad that you didn't have to work out like, for example, Taylor, because he really had to work?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to do that. That's kind of, he was doing that since, I think, the day after he wrapped Twilight. I mean, it's working out for a year, and the amount of discipline you have to have with what you eat and everything, I just would not have been able to do it. No way. And so that's, yeah, so I was lucky I'm not playing a werewolf.
Yeah, that's right. And also, you know, I thought what I liked in the second very much, I had the feeling it, of course, the books already, they're very close to the books, but it also develops more, and the characters develop in the sense they are more loose also. Mm-hmm. Would you emphasize that also, that, you know, somehow it was a relief? You know, all that, also that you could kiss now, and, you know, things were happening, so it developed. Yeah,
no, definitely. And I think also the introduction of Jacob gives it gives the mood, it's completely different, because I mean, the whole thing about Bella and Edward's relationship, it's static. It's like the whole thing, she wants it to remain exactly like that forever, and in the same mood, and the same everything, the same feel, everything. Whereas the whole relationship with Jacob, it's all pulsating, it's moving forward, and, you know, they're aging. You know, it's actually being part of life, and so it's it makes the whole movie feel different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just talked to Michael Sheen, and he also said, you know, the fascination we have for vampires, because it's the dark side, you know. But I said there must be more to it. There's a lot of dark, also werewolves are dark. Why is it the vampires? Do you have an explanation for that?
I think there's probably tons, but I mean, there's definitely something about there's definitely something. I mean, in comparison to a werewolf, it always seems traditionally that a vampire is very, very aware of his state the whole time. And it kind of, he's much more conscious of it, whereas a werewolf just seems like it's to do with kind of not being able to control anything, and so it's always less interesting when a person hasn't really analysed themselves, their own characters and stuff. But I don't know, there's definitely, I guess vampires have just always been associated. There's another thing as well, that they're so powerful, but they're completely dependent on humans, just everyday humans. They have to, even though it's just they need to suck their blood or whatever, but I mean, they're totally dependent. They're nothing without humans, so I think that may be a reason as well.
Right. My last question, because I covered for 2 territories, Switzerland wants to know, did you ever go to this country? Do you know it? Do you have any memories?
Yeah, I've been to Geneva a couple of times, and I really liked it. I mean, I only for a couple of days. I remember it was when I used to go skiing, like in France, but you always fly into Switzerland, and it was, yeah, I always really liked it. I only ever stayed there for about a day or 2 days at a time, but it was nice.
Mm. Thank you so much, Robert. See you in Munich on the